And the biggest factor is the first 3 seconds. So how are you handling those first 3 seconds?
Horribly. According to my analytics. All right, welcome back to Game Day Glare. If I'm not mistaken, this is episode 30. So, which means that this show and I are the same age. So I'm E. This is Lance. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Yeah, show 30. It's gone by pretty fast. I mean, we started this project. It's funny. I just found the receipt the other day for when we went to lunch back February 6th when we started talking about this. And here we are already.
Yeah, I still haven't paid you back.
No, I took that lunch. It was my idea. But yeah, 30 episodes later. So so far so good. I hope we've covered enough topics to keep people interested and keep people coming back. It's always a challenge every week, coming up with new topics and that, but we've been very lucky. We've had some great guests throughout these 30 episodes, and hopefully we have some more guests that you guys look forward to. And it's kind of a nice way for us to talk with peers in our industry and people we've worked with, people we know, some people we've met through YouTube. And it's a nice way for us to network. So, yeah. And today's topic is going to dive into understanding short form content in sports videography, because short form is all you see, right? On your phone, that's all you see. So we want to talk about, are you making this for Instagram? Are you making this for TikTok? Are you putting stuff everywhere? How to kind of tackle it, what kind of ideas you can use, stuff like that. So we'll start with E.
Well, I was going to say I'm looking forward to it because I don't know much about short form, so I've got my I'm taking notes today.
Oh, you're taking notes. You're pretty good at short form, honestly. You do some really good basketball highlights, and for your YouTube channel,
yes.
You've upped your short game for your intros, for your videos, and that. How's that progressed for you?
Well, first of all, I'm producing a lot more short form content since we've started this podcast. This is definitely helping, because that was the problem for me always. It's just I spend so much of my time making my YouTube videos that I don't want to spend extra time on short form and stuff. And I'm not someone who was like on Instagram to begin with. Like I don't post on Facebook, Instagram. Like everything I do is strictly related to my YouTube content. So it's an effort for me to post on these other platforms. So I tend to be very lazy about it. And so yeah, obviously having the podcast helps me a lot because I can post, clips from our conversations. But when I do make videos that don't relate to the podcast, usually it's like a teaser or a trailer regarding the latest YouTube video that I just dropped. And I don't know, I feel like I'm trying to keep them short and engaging as possible. But like, to be honest, often it's pretty much the intro of my video, because when I do produce my long form videos, I try to have a bit of an intro at the start that tells people what the video is about and sort of teases something in a engaging way that's going to spark their curiosity and make them stick around. So that's usually the part that I'll re-edit a little bit for my short form content. And what's cool about shorts specifically is that now you can add like a link to a longer form video. So usually in my short form video, there'll be a link at the bottom to the long form video of the same topic. So yeah, that's pretty much my strategy when it comes to my YouTube stuff.
Well, speaking of our podcast clips, okay. So one of our main ideas when we created this podcast was for the clips. The clips were a big part of it. We both wanted it. I wanted to build authority because I was, branching off, finally launching my company, moving off my own. You were already established, and it's a great filler for those days where you don't have short form content. Now the majority of it we're posting on Instagram, but we're reaching like 30,000 accounts a month with our short form content just from being consistent. And that's where a podcast really, really helps because you have access to that content. Like you and I have so many clips that we don't even share. Some of them are funny that only you and I would get the jokes, or if I just pre-recorded our little chats before, we can always use those for content too, because we do talk about some like what we're going to be talking about on the show. We talk about stuff that goes on in our life. We talk about work related stuff that we could share. Also, we don't always, but sharing this content's helped give us authority, I find, in the space, and it lets our viewers know us. So I'm definitely grateful for the podcast giving us those clips that we could share on socials, because it's not just about you know sharing those clips so everyone clicks on the podcast. It's about sharing them, and maybe we're talking about a quick, I don't know, one time I talked about warp stabilizer, so it's just a quick clip on warp stabilizer, but maybe that answers your question. So hopefully those little clips do give you value and do bring people to our podcast. So how would you define short form content? What is short form content for you? What does that video have to be? Does it have to be on a certain platform? Does it have to be a certain size ratio? Does it have to be a certain length? What's your view on
Well, it
that?
has to be short. That's I think that's the gist of it. But yeah, I think it's more the duration. Like it can't be much longer than a minute. And like typically it'd be a vertical video, but from that perspective, I don't really mind. Like a lot of them are portrait, a lot of them are sometimes landscape as well, or sometimes they're landscape but they're flipped on the side so that they can be played full screen. So that I don't think is really there's no one size fits all, but I do think the duration is the main thing. Like it is made for people who watch video while swiping, so that you have to be short and to the point and exciting enough to make them stop swiping. What do you think?
I think everything you just hit on is correct. There is one thing I want to bring up though. I find it strange
I know
how
my shit.
that's it. You do. So short form content is getting longer though. Like even your Instagram reels or your Facebook reels, now they could be 90 seconds. YouTube still has to be under 60 seconds. TikTok can go up to 3 minutes now. So it's weird for short form content. It's getting longer. But for me, I guess, yeah, a quick definition of it would be vertical video, anything under 60 seconds. And I'm looking at Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. I mean, we post everything on YouTube Shorts too. But for me, I would look more at Instagram and TikTok. Even Facebook Reels, I don't look as much as I do as Instagram and TikTok.
Okay.
Like those platforms really push it. Everybody else kind of just copies it, and you can find the same videos pretty much everywhere. But I feel like the consumption is more there.
Instagram, because they're shared. It's often the same video that's been posted on Instagram and then automatically posted on Facebook. So if you follow the same type of accounts on both platforms, you're just going to see the same reels anyway. So.
Where TikTok, I find, like, I guess my algorithm's completely different. I don't really see the same stuff from my Instagram to my TikTok at all. Was that happen to you, or you're not really on?
Yeah, well, I think it's more because of the way that the algorithm works on TikToks, because you don't really need to follow anyone on TikTok. Like, you can, because there is a thing where you can just have a feed of people you follow, but TikTok, which also pushed the other platforms to do the same. Like TikTok it's basically studying. It pushes a bunch of random stuff that would fit sort of your demo, like if you're a male, if you live in a certain area, things like that. But then it studies like how long you watch certain videos, when do you swipe to go watch more of that account, things like that, and then it sort of adapts to that. Where the old way of doing things with Instagram and Facebook was that you had to like a page or an account or follow it for then be pushed their content, where now everybody's doing what TikTok is doing, which is basically to just push stuff to you, not because you chose to watch it, but because they think you'll like it. So that's why it can be a bit different. But now, like I said, like all the other platforms are sort of doing the same thing, so it's becoming more and more similar, but TikTok is still sort of the best at doing that, even though it can be annoying sometimes.
Do you remember Instagram used to be for photos?
Yeah.
Like I follow these challenges on our Game Day Glare account. Okay, so when we hit like 1 month, we hit 50,000 views in a month. So we got like a badge, and I always sign up for them. And one of them that I never do is like post 2 photo posts, and I'm always like, shit, how are we gonna post a photo? Like, what am I gonna post? And I feel like I don't know how to post a photo anymore. I just post video all the time, and it seems like all of a sudden a photo is a lot of work, where a video is easier for you and I now to post. Which
Well, carousels are big. Like you can, well, they kind of feel like a video anyway, because there's like, now you can put like 15 or 20 photos in it, and then you can add music and filters, and so it's pretty much the same as a video.
I feel like carousels are really good to pin to your homepage, where you have like an about you or about this page kind of section.
Mm.
At least that's what when I'm on LinkedIn and these business sites, that's what it always says to do, is like tell people who you are. And that I think having an intro video, I think if everybody had an intro video on their socials where you clicked in, it's like, hi, I'm E, and I'm the founder of Beyond the Game. I think that would be kind of cool, and it would be a kind of good norm to get to know people, to get to see what they have to offer.
There is a feature video on YouTube. Like when you have a YouTube channel, like there's a space for a feature video that sits at the top of your page, and that can, autoplay when people show up, and that's supposed to be the purpose of that video. Most people just put their latest video or their most popular one, but which is what I'm doing. But I used to have more of an intro video, and at some point it was just too old, and my channel changed too much. It just wasn't didn't make any sense. But since that day, I wanted to make a new one. I still haven't got around to it, but you're right. They're meant to, for people who discover you through, let's say, a short or something like that, and then they're like, oh, that's interesting, I wonder what that channel's about, and then they click on your profile icon, and then that video would show up, and then they learn everything about you, and then they fall in love with you, and then you've got a fan for life.
That's it. It's how do I turn that? Will this story turn this person to a subscriber? That's what it's all about.
True.
Now, short form content. Okay, we got different types. So you got like raw clips. We got quick highlights. You got more edited pieces. You got narrative pieces. You have these quote videos. What kind of genre are you looking at on your phone? Are you looking at everything?
These days I'm seeing a lot of like quote motivational content from you, but
we'll talk about my campaign that I'm doing in case viewers don't know what I've been up to. But
I want to learn more about it. No, it's good. It's actually pretty good. Well, saying actually as if it's.
I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it. So what I started doing is since I've been approaching corporate companies, selling them short form content packages. The idea is whatever problems they're having with their businesses, whether it's getting leads or customer problems, stuff like that, is do a content day, show up at their company, get a bunch of the staff to talk, and we basically show up scripted like 30 videos, and I film them one day. Now, having your own business, there's a lot of ups and downs, as you know, E, right? It's hard when you're the boss and you got to stay motivated. So I decided to treat myself like a client. So I sat in my office, I wrote out 30 scripts, and I filmed 30 videos for myself that I started launching on LinkedIn. Now I shared 1 or 2 on my Instagram, but it's more of a LinkedIn test because this is for a B2B kind of video service that I'm trying to get people to engage in. And so far it's good. Like
to be.
That's it. But so far, the engagement's pretty good. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback. I didn't realize how hard it was being on camera. I will actually cheat some days, and I already have some game day glare clips stashed away for days where I don't want to post my video, because it's very like serious. Like I'm straightforward, and I'm like, hey, I'm Lance, and it sucks being on camera. Like. So I'm kind of just giving a myths about LinkedIn, myths about why companies need a brand video for say, or like how we just spoke about an intro video. And it's challenging. Like I'm struggling with it because I'm not used to putting myself out there. Like you and I have spoken about this many, many times. I like, for what you do on YouTube, I'm astonished. Like, I can't fathom myself always being alone in front of the camera, talking, scripting, doing it over and over again. Like it's challenging. And you come off, first of all, like you're French and you do it all in English. So right away, that's a bonus. Just that you do that. Like changing your language is hard. Like je parle français, mais I can't do one. I can't do videos
Voilà.
comfortably in French. I will do one. I will do one, and I'll send it to you. I will do one. But no, just the fact that you took this YouTube channel on by yourself, and that I find super courageous and really, really cool. Like I look up to you for that. So this is my way of trying to be like E a bit, but being on camera, being a little more present. But I also figure too, like I own my own company, and I'm telling companies that the face of the company needs to be on camera. Well, I got to practice what I preach. So that's what I started doing. So if you want, check out my LinkedIn page. You'll see I post like 3 days a week. I went to like 4 or 5 one time, but for LinkedIn, I feel like posting every day is too much because my network isn't big enough yet. So I'm sure my network is like, whoa, what's going on? But I did do a raw video where I'm like, hey, I'm going to be more active here. I'm going to show you guys how this works. And then every 7 days, I give an update. So like last week I had like so I think I have like I don't know 300 connections on LinkedIn because I only started LinkedIn once I lost the job in 2020 because of COVID. Before that, I never went on. I never
That's
went on
how
LinkedIn.
everybody
Okay?
gets on LinkedIn, so they need a job.
That's it. I needed a job. I'm like, I got to get on
That's why,
LinkedIn.
for all the employers out there, when your employees show up on LinkedIn, you know they're looking for a new job. Like that's the number one red flag. That
Exactly.
person is leaving you soon.
So I have like 300 connections. I post this raw video. I start posting consistent content. Within 1 week, set like 7 days, I had like 2,200 impressions. 717 people who don't even follow me saw my profile. I had 4 new hot leads, and I signed 2 contracts. So I mean, for me, it worked. So I know in sports videography, maybe that's not the best place to find people or track people, but there's no harm in putting your stuff out there or explaining who you are and showing what you could do in a short form video. And especially like right now, LinkedIn is pushing short form. So I thought it was a good time to show people like, hey, look, it's vertical. You could still do horizontal because most people are still on a laptop who are on LinkedIn because they're using LinkedIn during work hours. But I figured let's do it short form content. This is what people are used to seeing. We're going to target more people on their cell phones on the go because they're only quick videos. And, you know, that's how I'm approaching it. Now, there's a lot of factors that go into this. And you know, too, from doing short form. And the biggest factor is the first 3 seconds. So how are you handling those first 3 seconds?
Horribly. According to my analytics.
But let's be honest, okay? Analytics aren't everything. Like, I know we're looking at views, and I know even for this podcast, like I look at views and I'm like, I wish more people listen. You know, maybe eventually we can monetize this, and then this I won't have to be on LinkedIn, and this could be my job, right? So come on, people, share it, share it. But analytics aren't everything. It's not always about views. If for some
Yeah.
reason someone saw your Beyond the Game YouTube thing, you could get a job or a new connection from that. So if you touch 1 or 2 people, or look at you, how many people have you helped? Like I just read you a message I got, and right away the guy said, "E helped me so much in so many ways." So that's rewarding too. So it's not just about the views. Yes, we want the views. Yes, we look at the views, but it's not about the views. So how are you engaging people in those first 3 seconds to get the thousand and thousand of views that Beyond the Game gets?
Well, to me, the my priority when I start a video is to sort of follow through from, because it starts with the title, and well, if it was long form, I'd say title and thumbnail, but short form, I don't think the thumbnail is that important because people don't really click on thumbnails; they're just swiping. So, so it starts with the title on YouTube specifically. Like they'll see something that interests them, and then I kind of gonna the title is sort of the hook, and then straight away in the first 3 seconds, first of all, there's a good chance they didn't see that title, so I want to mention it, in my own words. I'm not just reading the title, but I want to mention the subject again and go in the direction of either curiosity or sometimes like fear, like what's going to happen sort of thing, or just something that's going to grab people's attention enough to watch the next 40 to 60 seconds, basically. How do I do that? Well, that changes from one video to the next, and I'm in. It's sometimes I don't get it at all. Like it's a complete mistake, and sometimes it's not, and it works, and that's great. But that's what's cool about short form, and that's what's cool about YouTube or any type of online content, is that there's always tomorrow. It's not like I'm making a movie that I spent like 3 years of my life on it, and if it doesn't work, I'm miserable. It's like I'm doing this video, I'm trying something. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. On to the next, and then I learn from my mistakes or from my successes, and then apply them to the next one. That's basically my my strategy in a nutshell. But it depends on what type of content as well. Because like if we're talking about talking head type stuff, then yeah, it's about trying to find a way to introduce the topic that's like super engaging. If it's more like sports, hype reel type content, like highlights, then definitely in the first 3 to 5 seconds, you want something really cool to happen, whether it's an effect. We often see these days the first effect, because usually at the start of a sports video, there'll be some sort of establishing shot, whether it's a player sort of walking in or a stadium or something. And now with short form, you'll see that shot will be transformed in an effect where like the building will come out of the ground, or there'll be like a bird's eye view of the field, and then like the logo or the team's name will sort of appear on the ground. There'll be some type of effect like that to just like catch your attention. And so establishing shot is still there, but it's in a much more engaging way. And then the video starts like that. So that's usually like the visual way of doing what I was saying earlier, is to just have like some cool effect that's going to grab your attention. And if your content is targeted at just random viewers, then they're entertained. And if you're targeting other sports videographers, then they're curious about that effect and how you did it, and they want to learn how to do it themselves. So they'll watch it again and try to analyze it.
Talking head, you're 100% right. The first 3 seconds, you need a hook, and then you have to follow through with explaining how you're solving that hook or how you're solving that problem. Highlight videos, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Like, do you go heavy on the graphics? Do you go heavy on a big play? Obviously, there's cheats, right? Like with Ever song is trendy at the moment. Like on Instagram, it suggests like, hey, use this song. It's already getting 2 million views here and there. So you can cheat by using a trendy song, and your video will pop up more. I feel like, yeah, you got to show as much action or the best play as right off the hop. You got to make sure that you show them something like wow, like the wow factor, and keep them entertained. Which is it's tough. It's tough because 9 out of 10 times people just scroll by if you don't catch them right away. Yeah. I used to like building up the story, like start off slow, like even like drone shots. Say you're coming to a stadium now with a drone shot. Well, you need that drone shot flying in fast, and you need a quick effect to get people's attention. If you just do a slow drone that's coming into a stadium and it's building up, you're losing people's attention right away. For a short form content, longer form video, you're good. So that's something a lot of people struggle with, because it's like using your best shot right away is hard. Well, at least it's hard for me. I don't know if it's hard for you, but I'm so used to, like, I'm trained to save those shots for the end of a longer video. But in short form, it's like I'm showing the big save, the big hit, the big play, boom, right away in an edited piece.
A good way to, if you still want to do those sort of slow starts, what a lot of people do is they'll tease the punchline basically at the very start and then build up. So like, for example, if the video would start with someone catching a touchdown pass, the crowd going wild, like obviously it was like a game-winning touchdown, everybody's going crazy, but it just goes for like 3 seconds, and then boom, the music starts, and then it's the beginning of the game, and it's a build up, and then that same moment will happen at the end of the video. But that was the way to for the viewers to go like, "Ooh, I wonder, what led to that game-winning touchdown." And you see that in many different ways, like different videos we'll do that in a different way where, yeah, the punch is at the beginning, a bit like in a movie where it's like it starts with something super intense and then goes 3 years earlier, and then the movie starts.
But that's a good way to tell a story, and that's something that short form content isn't known for, is storytelling. And we made this come up on other podcasts. Storytelling is so important. So even on your short form content, I am still trying to tell a story. It's hard when you do a nice video, you put a lot of work into it, you have a good hook in the beginning, you're telling a story, you're still not getting a good view, but then you take a clip, a highlight from that video, and you post it, and you get thousands of views from the one play. How do you feel when that happens to you? I get it, because people are consuming it, they swipe fast, they watch the play, and they moved on. So that's why it gets more views. But as a video editor or a sports videographer, I'm proud of that shot, but like, I want you to see my edited piece. I don't want you to just see the shot. But how are you feeling?
Yeah, well, I don't really mind. To be honest, to me, I don't really do it that much because my content is so educational that it's not about, like, for what I do, sharing a raw piece of content of someone scoring a goal wouldn't really have a purpose. But I'll do it sometimes if it's not necessarily an edited sort of highlight thing, but maybe there's one goal that I speed ramped and turned into something cool to watch. But other than that, just the raw form I don't really do. But if I'm a sports team, for example, it does make a lot of sense because as a sports club, you're trying to produce as much content as possible, especially on game day. So players walking in, that's like 2 or 3 clips, and then players getting ready and the puck drop if it's hockey, or just like tip off at the beginning of the game to tell people, all right, game's on, it's time to watch. That's a lot of content right there. And then throughout the game, any type of highlight, let's push it as quickly as possible. And then interviews, press conferences, all that sort of stuff, scrums. That these are all individual clips that you can push all throughout the game and after. So it's all about quantity and making people come back to your account again and again. So from that perspective, I totally understand, because that's what social media is about these days. But for me, I don't really have to do that because, well, first of all, I don't produce enough content to just push raw clips here and there. Except with the podcast, I guess that's a way for us to do it. But other than that, not really.
Well, so I do that for hockey, right? For M18, AAA here in Quebec, one of the teams, I'll do like recap videos, but I'll also give them the clips of the big saves or goals. And the kids share those goals or those big plays like crazy. And I'll do a nice edited piece, like the recap, and say I'll get, I don't know, 15,000 views. Well, if I just put the first goal of the game on, and they share it, we triple that easily. And you're like, wow, okay, that's what people want. But like how you just described it for everybody, that's a good package that you could sell as a sports videographer to a team. And you say, okay, after the game, I'm going to supply you with or say after warm up, I'm going to cut up quick the walk-ins and stuff, because it is hard to manage time, especially in minor sports. Like, you don't always have mid AAA. You have it's like a NHL where you have 15-minute warm up periods, 15 minutes in between periods, stuff like that. But minor sports, it's tough. You have less time, right? You have a 3-minute warm up in hockey, and then it's game on. So maybe you could say, okay, I'll give you all the clips after the game, but then you got to work right after the game and make sure you get those clips. But that's a content package you could sell, where you can do a game recap, and then you can give them, I don't know, say 15 clips a game of big moments. Now, you will be afraid that you're going to miss stuff, right? Because you miss goals, you miss stuff. So you might want to have a backup camera or backup angle that you can use in case you actually miss it. But that's a digital a content package that you can actually sell to teams, and they would definitely use them because they will get views, and it is consistent content.
Because especially if they're going to pay someone to produce short form content, they're not going to. If you're trying to create a presence on Instagram or TikTok, you're not posting once a week. So, and you're not going to pay someone big money to give you content for once a week. So you need constant content to put out. You want to be doing it daily and stuff, or like I said, during game day, probably a lot more, maybe 15, 20 clips in one day. So, or maybe it's more stories, like that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, so that raw form becomes way more important and makes a lot more sense and works for everybody involved, including the viewers.
I had a client hire me just for a reel. Okay, so it was like, hey, come to our home opener and just do a reel. And it was a fair price that I gave them, and they were reluctant at first because they were like, it's just for one video, and it's hard to show them the value in that. So what I did also while I was there is I did a nice drone shot of their arena, and I used it in their reel, but I gave it to them as an extra clip, and I was like, hey, take this clip anytime you guys have home games or you want to and like promote that home game. You could put both logos of your team and the visiting team, and you could put the time underneath, and you can use this anytime you want. Here you go. So if you can offer a little bit of extra, if you're just doing a one and done or something like that, try and do that, because then hopefully you'll open up the doors for them to hire you for other gigs. Because not every team is saying, okay, I want walk-ins, I want warm up, I want to the goals, I want this, I want that. Some of them just want the reel, the one time, and it's kind of our job to show them like, hey, there's more we could do, especially with short form. Because yes, some of those clips you're going to put some time on. You're going to speed ramp. You're going to color grade. You're going to adjust the audio. There is a little bit of work, but it is less time consuming than editing a full piece. And it's something that you can use to get contracts.
So let me ask you this: is there certain formats or certain moments or whatever that you feel a phone makes more sense than using your camera, or would you film everything with your camera or everything with a phone because it's all going, especially if it's just raw content?
So you know what? That's a great question.
I know.
I would prefer to film everything with my main camera, but look, if a team wants stuff on the fly, then I'm going to film the walk-ins in the part of the warm-up with my phone, so I can give it to them before the game starts, and then they could add that. During gameplay, I'm going to film my good camera, and then, at least I'm just talking hockey right now, I would use intermission to get the goals or big saves or whatever. That's how I get those clips, and I try and get them to them as fast as possible. But I feel like warm-up is a perfect example to use a phone, because you can tease the game before it starts, and maybe they can get a couple more fans there who, like, are on social, like, oh, so-and-so's playing tonight. Okay, it starts in 5 minutes, or, oh, we just missed the first 5 minutes. Let's go. So that's an idea that I would definitely try is to use my phone for the warm-up intros, stuff like that, walk-ins. Why not? You could share it fast. If I needed it for a edited piece, then I would take the time one game, especially if I'm working with a team all season. Then I would take my good camera and try and get some nice slow-mo shots and stuff that I can use later on for a video. Because you don't always need the walk-in. You don't all like people arriving to the arena, like the sports, they use it on TV all the time. It's always the same stuff. It's just the guys wearing different suits. So
Yeah, people love it though.
oh, they love it. But when you work for a team, if you have a couple of those in your bank, you're good. The rest you could do with phone and share it live. But like, get a couple good ones in the bank that you can use for edited pieces later on. No one's going to say, oh, Johnny was wearing this suit last week and he didn't wear it today. Like, no one's going to know. But that's a good question. I like the way you're thinking today.
Well, that's about it. I don't have any more questions.
You don't have any more questions. So how hard is it to tell a story in 60 seconds or less?
Well, it depends what kind of story, but if it's regarding a game, I think it's pretty. If anything, it makes it easier because there's no pressure to tell every single, like, if there was, like, for basketball, for example, like, you're not going to show every important basket and you're not going to show that much back and forth. Well, ideally you're going to show a little bit of it, but not as much. It wouldn't be as involved as if it was like a 5-minute video. But I think it's easier, yeah, in that sense, where you can pick like a short story that has, like, beginning, middle, and end, whether it's one team winning, but it can also be like one player showing up to the game, doing a couple great plays, and celebrating after that. Like, it can be like super basic like that, but like something basic in 40 seconds or even sometimes 20 seconds is much more effective than something a bit more complex that drags on over 2.5 minutes, and that not everybody gets or not everybody takes the time to watch. So from that perspective, yeah, I like to just pick a storyline that is super simple based on the obviously on the footage that I've got from that game, and just and the good thing as well is that you can tell multiple stories. Like you can do like a 4 or 5 different videos that have 4 or 5 different super simple stories, and yeah, do it like that. So for me, yeah, I would maybe have a video about one player, a video about another, maybe another videos about something funny like that happened where I don't know, thinking football player loses his helmet as he's getting hit and just has a funny sort of reaction afterwards. So you're showing him getting onto the field a bit intense at first, and then this happens, and then he's a bit goofy afterwards, and whatever, maybe something else happens after, but that's it. And then maybe another video is about a reaction to a touchdown, or something about a fan. Like it's easy to find these little moments that are just covered by 1, 2, or 3 clips, and yeah, do multiple stories like that. How do you handle it?
Yeah, you know what? If you film a full game, you can get a couple reels out of it, right? There's different aspects. You know, you can have the raw clips, you can have edited pieces. Yeah, there's different stories throughout every game. You know, every player is having their own story. You have the guy who's scoring the winning goal, and he's the hero. Unfortunately, you have the kid who let it in, or when there's fights or refs involved, or bad calls, or parents' reactions. There's plenty to share. I guess it all depends on what you see that day. Because as the editor, we see these stories happening, so we're trying to piece them together to tell these stories. So that's always tricky, and that's something that comes with experience, right? Like, so I did a recap for a home opener where the home team lost, but you can never tell in my recap because I showed the important parts for that team. So it was those players walking on the ice, you know, their fans cheering for them, the spotlight of all the kids. I made sure I showed every kid. Now it was super fast paced. Like what I kind of did is I did like one motion from the player from the bench to where they skate, and I kind of cut every couple frames where it would change people, but it was still all in the same motion. So that way, boom, check, everybody's in the video right away. Then I just highlighted the main moments, the main goals, and I ended on a high note. And you would never know they lost that game. You would never know that they had 46 minutes in penalties that game from that video. So that was the story I chose to tell. Now, from that, I edited one player's goal, and it was his first goal. So that's another story from that same video of this kid's first goal. And you see his reaction, you see his hype. You know, you can throw the commentator in the background, his voice, hey, son premier but, or first goal. You know, there you go, French again. They're just for you, buddy.
No, right.
So there are a lot of things, you know, or you can show if you have warm up shots of a kid who's his first time playing in that league. You could show him a little bit nervous, and then you can show him maybe having a nice body check or a nice play, and that could be another little storyline. So there is lots, but you go into every one of these events as long as you go in prepared and with a plan. Yes, stories will evolve as they come around. But I feel like, you know, we spoke about this before too. Shot list. I have my shot list. I know what I'm kind of looking for. And then any other story that evolves, I can add as a separate video later on, especially in short form, or I can make it part of my main edit.
And when it comes to like editing and posting, do you would like, let's say you create this vertical video that's about 30 seconds long. Would you post the same video on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts? Or do you do specific content for specific platforms? And if so, like, what's the difference?
With sports, I feel like you don't really need to. I feel like sports is like a universal language. So you can put it on, I would put it on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. My posts might be written a bit differently. At least that's the way I would do it. But I feel like, yeah, those three platforms you could share no problem. Now, if I like before when I was talking about LinkedIn, I would have a completely different probably edit same footage, but a different edit, and I'd have a different write up because I'm looking at business community or I'm trying to show the value of why a team should hire me to do such a piece. But it is tricky because not all videos work on all platforms. And I feel like you get TikTok, I feel the engagement is inflated. Like, I don't know. I put up some videos sometimes and you get thousands of views, thousands of views. And then you look at your Instagram and you have like 600. And I'm like, okay, well, it's the same video. So why is it on one platform so much higher? All the views on every video are so much higher. It's not that I'm more engaging. It's just that I feel like it counts views differently than Instagram. Now, I can be wrong, and you guys could write in the comments if I am. But I feel like not all platforms are equal when it comes to views. I feel like the Instagram and Facebook views for me are more important than the TikTok views for my content. Because I feel like the TikTok views aren't real. Like, I feel like as soon as you scroll for 1 second or two, it counts as a view, where Instagram and Facebook, you have to watch a little longer than 3-4 seconds to get that view. And I feel like the algorithm's just a bit off on TikTok, at least in my account and my experiences. You notice that?
Well, yeah, I know that they do it. Different platforms count a view differently, whether it's 3 seconds, 10 seconds, or a certain percentage. But I'm not that much more popular on TikTok than on Instagram. Probably more popular on Instagram than TikTok. So, that's where I spend a lot more time as well. So it makes sense from that perspective. I definitely build a community on Instagram way better, way more organically than I did on TikTok. TikTok is hard as well to build anything, a rapport with anyone. Like, all you do is put videos with a title. There's not even that much room for a description or a long caption or anything. It's just like a few words and that's it. Like, you can always respond to comments, but that's about it. So, it depends on the type of content that you do. Like, if it's content that can be in someone's For You page and just organically sort of goes viral like that, then yeah, I'm assuming there's probably a lot of views from people who don't really care that much, who didn't watch that much. But I don't think my content makes it to that goes to that level.
But you just said the keyword community. Your other content on Instagram and Facebook have a community, and that's who you're making that content for. Like, yes, it's nice to grab new viewers and new engagement, but you're making that content to show your community. And I think that's where TikTok is kind of lacking. TikTok is you do the death scroll. You just keep scrolling, and you see a whole bunch of random stuff, where the algorithms on Instagram and Facebook are meant for your community. And, your sports videography community is looking at your content. They're looking at the edits you do in that. And that's what you built. So your engagement is definitely going to be different. And I guess people don't really write to you on TikTok. They more write to you on Instagram, Facebook.
Instagram, yeah, probably is the place where I get the most DMs. Yeah.
So who's sliding into your DMs? Z? Tell us. This is a tell-all now. Who's sliding into your DMs?
I don't know. A lot of people. By a lot of people, I mean a wide range of different people, but mostly, yeah, either young sports videographers or parents who want advice about sports videography. These are definitely my two main demos. But I like, and I think even for like a normal sports videographer without a YouTube channel, to me, Instagram is really the place where you can. First of all, you can post content that's just about the game that you filmed and has nothing to do with you, but you can also film yourself in a way, like add a bit of behind the scenes, whether that you shot with your phone or by putting like a Insta360 type camera, and that can capture you while you're filming. And that way, like, you see a lot more content these days of sort of, this is what it looks in front of the camera, but this is also what it looks behind the camera. And it just makes you stand out a bit. Like, and then by that I mean, like, potential clients, they see you, they get to know you, and ultimately they want to work with you. There's now a face that they can associate with that footage. It's not just because great footage is great footage, but like, there's ads, there's NBA like channels and all these professional teams and all these things that is just content for the sake of content. You don't really know who's doing it, but if you put yourself in the content, then people recognize you, and then they like you, and then they want to hire you for you, not necessarily for your content. So it's always good to sort of throw your personality in there. And I think Instagram's a great place to do that, Facebook as well. But the good thing as well with Instagram is that where you're sharing content, you're tagging people in it. You can even add them as collaborators, which means that if they collaborate on your reel, they're basically posting it from their account as well. So it looks for their followers, it looks like they're posting it. For yours, it's yours. So it's 2 or 3 or 4 different communities being shared that content. So obviously you're getting a lot more attention, a lot more views, and you're probably getting a lot more new followers from it as well, because the followers from that account that didn't know your account are probably going to follow you. Not all of them, but some of them will be like, oh, I want to see more of that guy. So collaborations with the right people, like when I collaborate with a team, for example, or with another sports videographer, that usually gives me great results because it's the right audience for that. Collaborating with someone that has nothing to do with what I do probably not going to change much, even if they're super super popular and have a much bigger account than me. But if it's something that relates to what I do, that's a great way to grow your network, grow your Instagram account, obviously, but like just getting known by more people, and then you getting more DMs, more people reaching out, so either asking you questions or asking you for your prices, and like they like what you do and they'd like you to do it for them, and how much do you charge to do this, and all these types of conversations that might lead to more contracts, more jobs, more clients.
The collabs is amazing for networking. Like, because even so, say on our podcast, right? So 95% of our clips are, so it has Game Day Glare, Beyond the Game, and Premier Concert Inc. So you can click on either one of those and see the clip, but then you can see our profiles and you can DM us that way. And that wasn't always an option, right? To showcase your work. Now, more and more people are using these short form contents as their portfolio. Like, nowadays, hey, let me see your work. I'm thinking about having you film this football game. You just send them your Instagram handle, boom, and they get to decide for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
How are you organizing that? Are you, for your short form, like, are you posting everything there? Is there some stuff that you're posting just on Beyond the Game? Is there some stuff you're posting on your personal stuff? How do you divide what you're posting where?
Yeah, well, I would definitely keep the work related stuff on one account and the personal stuff on another. I wouldn't have both. Not to say like I said, like I just said before, like you obviously want your personality to shine through your business account, but you're not posting party with your friends, or like, oh, I went to this festival, or I did this during the summer. That's more for your personal account, because the business account, you want it to be the place where you send, like you said, potential clients, you send them the link, and a bunch of them will go anyway without you sending them there. They'll look you up, and then they'll look at your Instagram account, and then they'll make an idea, first impression, sort of from there, if they want to contact you or not. So yeah, I keep it very professional on my business account. That's what I recommend. It's a portfolio. That's what it's for. And then all your personal stuff, your parties, your selfies, all your restaurants, your food shots, all that stuff, that's for your personal account.
Because you do very good food photography, so I wish you would share more of that, because you're a connoisseur in that area.
You can only take so many photos of a hot dog.
I do find it strange how we have to give social proof that I'm actually behind the camera. For years, I never took pictures of me with my camera. I never took pictures or video of me on a job showing like, hey, look, this is where I am. But now it's so important, because you got to it's like you could do this nice edit and you could say, oh, I shot this soccer game. But it's like you almost want to prove to everybody like, hey, look, I was there. Now, for these little pieces of proof, I feel like the story part is very good for that, where you could just share that for a quick 24 hours in and out. Only people that follow you see it, though. Do you find value in sharing quick things like that in stories?
Yeah, well, definitely, because especially stories, it's where people just, they just want to see a quick thing. It's an easy. You're not going to stories for engaging stories, for lack of a better word. But but yeah, I think people like it when you show a bit more of your personal side, but always sort of work related. But then again, it just depends on the account. Like a lot of people share their personal lives in their professional accounts, and I don't have anything against it. But it's just that if it's a portfolio, if it's something that you're using to attract new clients, I'd say keep the personal stuff to a minimum. But but yeah, I'm not very good at sharing my own stuff anyway, but because I use often a second camera to film myself, like doing stuff for my YouTube videos, I therefore end up with some behind the scenes content that I'll try to sprinkle through my short form content as well. And to be honest, it's a good cutaway shot as well. Like if if I want to go from one action shot to the next, what do I put in the middle? Just a shot of me filming, so it makes sense that like then the next shot comes from that camera angle, and it just works as a just sort of a cutaway thing. And like I said, when people recognize you, then they feel closer to you. They feel like they know you a little bit better, so it's sort of an easier process to go from there to then wanting to hire you.
I always forget to like set up another camera to film myself while I'm filming. And then after, I'm like, oh, I should have done it.
Yeah.
And then the times that I have remembered, I feel so awkward doing it, because it's like
Welcome to my world.
your client walks in, your athlete walks in, and they see this other camera set up there, and it's faced on you, not them, and they're always kind of like, oh, okay, it's for your stuff. People are getting more and more used to it though, as they're realizing that you need to show some social proof. So I try to kind of set that up ahead of time. I tell people like, hey, if I'm editing for you in that, you have the discussion. Can we tag each other in the project in the final edit? So this way we both get some recognition. People go on my site, people go on your site, and tell them, hey, I'm going to put a behind the scenes camera. If you want that footage too, you can have it, but it's going to be about me filming or setting up this interview or setting up my shot to show that I'm actually working. So those are things that I would definitely clarify with clients before, because if the NFL hires you to go and film a game and you're setting up another camera behind you, it's tricky, right? Because especially depending where you are, who's around, sometimes there's not a lot of room. You're working, you have your game day pass on, you're working and you're filming touchdowns or passes, whatever. You can't always have that second camera. So maybe that's when you just grab a quick photo and you share that in your story. But these are all things that you got to talk to your client before you even start.
Changing topic a little bit, but earlier you mentioned like analytics. It's not. It's not. I can't remember. Not that. I don't think you said it's not that important.
It's
But
important. It's just touching
it's
people's
not all
better.
about the views and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But how do you then know if a video is a success? Like, how do you measure that, and like, how do you go about analyzing your videos afterwards and saying, this one was a good one, this one not so much, I should do more of this or less of that?
I try to look to see how long people have watched instead of how many likes I get. Because at least the people that who've seen it, if I know they stuck around longer, then I feel like I did a good job of keeping them hooked and keeping them interested longer. That's the real number that I'm looking for. I don't care about likes. I don't care about shares. I don't care about comments. I want to see, as a creator, as a videographer, I want to see how long people are watching. That's the most important analytic to me personally. And I think it's something that you want to improve on all the time, because eventually you would love to have everybody just watch your video all the way through. Now that's never going to happen, but that's the idea. So it's how long can I keep that person engaged in my video? If I have a 40-second video and the average watch time is 25 seconds, that's a home run for me. They're watching half my video, that's a home run. So that's a number I'm really, really looking at. And I try to do that too for my clients, to try and show that number when it's good, because it's not always good. But when that's a good number, that's the number you want to show. Don't worry about the likes. Don't worry about the comments, the shares, all that. You?
Makes sense. Yeah, well, that's
You want the
well, you're
likes, and I
right.
know you want the likes.
No, not the likes, but like, well, first of all, if we're talking Instagram and TikTok, I don't really go into the analytics. So the only thing I really see is the views because you can see it on the page. You don't have to go in the settings or anything. But but yeah, when it comes to like on YouTube, like you said, like view duration is definitely something that is important to me, and it's important to YouTube as well. Like if people are watching longer, then they'll see this as a success and show it to more people. But yeah, definitely if I see that a video as well, because the tricky part is that the more views there are, the shorter that view duration will be. So my videos that have like hundreds of thousands of views, they have like a 20% like retention, or where my videos that have a lot less views tend to have more. Like I can go up to 50 sometimes. But so it's hard to gauge, it's hard to compare. It's apple and oranges basically. But yeah, view duration is definitely important because it shows you that what you're saying is interesting, that people don't sort of doze off or get disinterested, that they want to know more, and yeah, they want more, and they'll stay till the end. So it's always fun when you say something at the end and people bring it up in the comments. You're like, oh, that's cool. I can see there's actually multiple people who watch my video until the end. That's cool. But yeah, otherwise it's also getting comments. If you're getting a lot of comments, whether it's questions or whatever that feedback is, that's always good as well, because that means that you touched people in a way that you know, they felt engaged, and they felt like the urge to sort of reply and tell you like, oh yeah, that happens to me as well, or oh, by the way, you should try doing this, or I just want to make sure I understood correctly when you said that. Can you explain blah blah blah? Like when you get people to do little things like that, because I very rarely comment on videos. I'm there to watch. I'm not there to make friends. So I'm just watching, which is what most of us do. So when someone comes in with that frame of mind and then feels the urge to jump in and comment, that means you really, you touch them in a way. So yeah, that's another thing that I really enjoy. If I see the number of comments going up, a lot of engagement, especially if people go back and forth between them, and it actually sparks a conversation between people. That's even better.
Comments are huge so on my LinkedIn campaign. I've noticed if you comment on other people's posts, those people will check out your profile, and then you get more engagement that way. So commenting is very important. Um, I've actually been trying to do a better job of commenting back on our YouTube channel, because I noticed that only E would comment back, and I kind of wasn't really checking the comments. So I apologize for that to our viewers. But I did start commenting more on some of the comments that were there. And also on Spotify, I didn't realize that you could leave comments. I just kind of post on Spotify and don't go back to it. Unfortunately, I listen to our shows on Apple, the Apple platform, just because it's easier in my car. But yeah, commenting back and showing people like, hey, I see that you're listening. Here's the answer to that question you asked, or yes, thank you for sharing your story. It does go a long way, and it shows people that you are invested. So I guess it's not just about view timing; it's about comments also.
Yes. Well, like I said, it's about community.
Now, what did you say all the time? Okay, now give me a thumbs up and subscribe below. That's how you do too to your viewers all the time?
Oh, sometimes. Yeah, I do. Actually, now, like in my YouTube videos, I just have like a thing pop up, so I don't have to say anything. It just pops up, and like
That's
it
it.
shows like the subscribe button, and shows there's like a hand that clicks on it. So
So I
I
guess
remove myself from the conversation.
I guess that's it for today on short form. There's nothing else. Is there anything else you want to touch on that you can think of?
No, I think it's very fitting that short form, we keep it
Short.
short.
All right, but before we go, I do have some housekeeping. All right.
Oh,
I want to give a shout out to GoPro, because I already talked to you about this before the show. I have a GoPro subscription, and there's a camera replacement on that. I smashed my GoPro the other day filming hockey. It might have been a hockey incident. It might have just been my own incident. I will not. I will not tell you guys exactly how it broke, but my GoPro broke. I went online, messaged them. It's a quick chat. Wrote them all the information. No hassles, no problems. Sent me a UPS form. Dropped off my GoPro at the UPS store. The second it was scanned, 24 hours later, my new GoPro is on its way. So I'm very, very happy with the subscription. They replaced my camera hassle free. Now, the only catch is it would have actually cost me $100 for a new GoPro if my camera was more than 1 year old. I made it by 10 days. So I'm good. But just in case any viewers have GoPro issues in that subscription is worth it, at least for the replacement. So, you get to do crazy stuff with your GoPros and you don't have to
So when you
worry
say
about it.
subscription, it's like an insurance thing? Is that what it is?
No, so you have a subscription, you pay, you get a discount on a camera. You get like 50% off all accessories. You get 500 gigs cloud storage and access to their editing software. And you get a camera replacement. And it was like, I paid like $65 for the year. So it was definitely worth it. So anybody who does GoPro, especially in our sports industry, it's always good. Like I use them a lot. Places I can't reach, places I'm afraid to get hit with a puck or a baseball or whatever. I also use them a lot for time lapse, just because it's easier on my shutter and I can kind of put them in neat places and leave it. For some reason, if something happens to that camera, I'm not too stressed. But anyway, I definitely recommend that. And the last piece of housekeeping is I want to give a shout out to Maurice Richardson. He wrote me the other day. He was talking about niches because we talked about niches on one episode, and he kind of gave me a couple ideas of stuff to help help me from struggling with picking a niche in my other job. So I had a great conversation with him. He said he loves the show, and he also said that he films a lot of grappling, but he said your YouTube channel really helped him out with his videography journey. So I'll give a shout out to you, E, that you helped Maurice out.
Well, I'm glad I could be of service. I don't know a lot about grappling, but it's always interesting when people film a sport I've never filmed. Like I've been asked questions about cycling and wrestling and all these sports I've never done, and it's basically just by having conversation with them I can sort of figure out the answer. Just tell me more about your sport, and I'll I'll tell you what you need to do. So it's always an interesting conversation.
Well, you know what? Come over here and we'll film you, and I'll put you in a headlock right on camera, and then you'll know what grappling's all about, buddy.
Yes. Well, I did film a bit of it. Like, I filmed some MMA, so yeah, there's grappling involved.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, just grappling has got to be tough. At least MMA, you have all the mixed martial arts together, so you get a lot of different stuff. But I mean, I guess it's a fight, right? So you film all different angles and try and build up your opponents and the competitors. Storytelling.
You definitely want to be low, because you don't want to have that upward angle, because it's all happening on the floor. So you don't want to have that always sort of looking down kind of angle. So you definitely want to get on the ground, and so which is hard for parents when you don't necessarily have access to. You can't always be that close, so it's always hard for them. But depends what level we're talking about.
So that's your next YouTube video subject: how to film grappling. Okay, E? You can teach people.
I'll give Maurice a call.
That's it. That's it.
I'll do a collab. See? It's all
there you
circle.
Go. Full circle. Let's see how you did that. All right. Well, since this is a shorter episode, no, not really. We still went an hour, but on short form content, hopefully, we answered some of your questions. And if you guys have any questions, leave comments below, message us. We'll give you a shout out and we'll try our best to answer your question. But I guess that's it for this episode of Game Day Glare.
See you, everyone.